How many of you were running your business during the pandemic? Okay, a lot of you. And you're in home services. How many of you actually did pretty well during the pandemic? Okay, some of you. Let me tell you one industry that did not do well during the pandemic. The public speaking industry. People who make money on stage in front of live audiences. It was so tough for me, and it really kind of threw me. In 2020, had just signed a contract to write The Wealthy Franchisee. I was given a big advance by my publisher, and it was super exciting. My first real actual book is going to be in bookstores, and they were paying me to write it. I had a full speaking calendar. This was supposed to be my best year ever. But I remember signing the contract to write the book in January and looking at my speaking schedule and thinking, gosh, how am I going to find a time in 2020 to write a book? Well, we know the answer to that question. And the answer came in March when all my speaking engagements just disappeared. All of my income, all of my ability to support my family, all the reasons for anybody would think even for a second that I was someone worth listening to, someone who's successful, it just disappeared. A lot of people are losing their businesses, their income, family members, their lives at that time. But knowing I was alone did not bring me any comfort. I just felt even more like a loser because I was feeling sorry for myself. So I fell into a state of deep despair. So I was at my kitchen table one morning just contemplating my entire career. How did I get to this moment? And the fact that this worldwide event was happening, I thought was no excuse. Why wasn't I more prepared? I knew plenty of other people who were just fine. So I was super bummed out. So I'm sitting at my kitchen table thinking about everything since college. And I began to recall all my high points, my victories, my successes, and my low points since graduating college. So my high points are all the things that I call the green zone. You can see them here on this graph. And I literally plotted this out on a graph for some reason. So the green zone, all those things include things like graduating UCLA and getting into film school at New York University, getting engaged to be married, starting my first business. But in between those moments was my time spent in the red zone. They included things like having to drop out of film school because I was diagnosed with cancer, having my fiance break up with me, ending the engagement, having to shutter that first business. Like you, my life has been a series of peaks and valleys. Well, that morning I decided to plot them all chronologically and then connect the dots. So these red lines here indicate my drops from the green zone to the red zone when something terrible happened that disrupted my life. And then these green lines represent the jump from the green zone, from the red zone back to the red zone. This is literally my life path right here. Now, I'd never looked at my life like this, but when I did, two things stood out to me. The first thing is that after every drop to the red zone, there was always an enormous bounce back to the green zone. Every time. I didn't know it was coming, but looking back, it always came. The second thing I noticed is that every one of those jumps back to the green zone were caused by the red zone, caused by the adversity. Either because with new circumstances came some new opportunities, but much more often, it's because these terrible circumstances forced me to change, to do things differently. It turns out, as painful, as unplanned as the red zone is, there is value in adversity. There's often value in the change that is forced upon us. We call it a recession, but really it's often just, a correction of economic conditions that can't sustain themselves. Dramatic, violent forest fires that are really just clearing the way for new growth. Even professional bodybuilders are actually tearing their muscles when they lift the weights, knowing the muscle will heal back bigger and stronger, as you can see. And what does a trainer tell them when they're screaming in pain? Do they say, oh, stop, put it down, can I get you something to make it easy? No, the trainer's like, come on, give me two more. They push them deeper into the pain, deeper into the red zone, because that's where the value is. Not for Bob. He freaks out in the red zone. He makes assumptions. He screams and curses out his franchisor. He panics. He sells. He can't sleep at night. He gives in to the stress rather than taking a step back, getting back to his point of clarity, and making a much better decision. How do you do when you're in the red zone? Do you use it to move your business, your life forward, or you just panic and suffer? There's a lot we can't control, but I'll go back to that first speech. We all control our reaction. And wealthy franchisees are really good at not having their Ring cameras on during a presentation and keeping a clear head. Any opportunity to embarrass someone.